Alright guys, so today we're going to learn how to throw grenades. Now grenades are items that you should always be bringing into raid with you, because in PvP a grenade or not having a grenade is a difference between being forced to confront someone holding an angle on you or opening up a window for you guys to maneuver and to fight back. So it also gives you a way to confront people that are in cover, like if someone was hiding in there. For example, you could use a grenade without having to expose yourself to a peek. But if you were the guy in here and you try to get out and someone was holding an angle in any of these locations, then really the only way to get out is with the grenade. And if you don't have one, then you're going to have to sprint out and make it a 50-50 if they shoot you before you can make it cover or not. But speaking of grenades, there's a few major differences for each grenade, and it's important to know which one. So every grenade is different in one way or another. There's different fuse times, and there's different aspects to how the grenades roll that are important to know. So the F1 grenade has one of the longest fuse times of all the grenades, because flashbangs typically have shorter and the VOGs, they have much shorter. But despite popular belief, a longer fuse time doesn't mean it's a better grenade, because it has limitations to its uses, as do longer fuse times, but we'll talk about that in a second. So at 3.5 fuse time, that's about the mid-tier of all grenades. And I don't really worry about fragment count or explosion radius or damage per fragment, because if you get hit by a grenade, you're probably going to die, or it's going to be a bad day for you. So if you hit him with a grenade, you hit him with a grenade. But the fuse time is the most important aspect of grenades, because it will tell you how you can use the grenade. But besides that, the F1 hand grenade is unique in the aspect that it rolls to the left at like a 25-degree angle, or maybe 45-degree angle after you throw it. So it'll go straight and then hits the ground, and then it'll spike to the left. Now, that is a good thing to know, because you can actually use that tip to get it around corners. So for example, if I wanted to grenade someone down this hallway, but I didn't want to expose myself by going this way, what I would do is I would throw it and I would hit this spot, and then the roll should take it to roll down the hallway. Let's say I wanted to get it behind that. There you go. That's a way better example. So it hit the ground, it is spiked to the left, and it's always going to consistently spike to the left. Let's see. So yeah, that's a good enough example, because here we're going to basically throw it straight, and let's just throw it straight, and you guys will see exactly where it goes. Whoa, it's spiked up. Well, this is making it very difficult to show an example. I hate you, Nikita. We'll do it again. Oh, yeah. That's a good example. So you can kind of tell whenever it hits the ground, it's gonna go at an angle, instead of, for example, this one. This one is basically the exact same grenade with the exact same fuse time, but it'll always go straight and won't spike unless it hits the ground. Oh my god. Man, maybe Factory is not the best map for this. Yeah, this looks much flatter. Alright, here we are again on a better map with a flatter floor. So let's try to throw one straight, and we're going to see where it curves. It should curve in between the red container and the boxes. And you can see right there that nice 45-degree angle curve. That's consistent every time you throw it. So imagine that like there was a guy behind that red container, and we were like here. So what you can do is you can always trust it to go to the left. Even if it hits the wall or whatever, then it's going to bounce off that, and you can get the grenade behind corners. So it's a very useful grenade in that aspect. And then to re-show the round one, this one doesn't do that. It just flies normal, which is also a good thing sometimes. But you see that one, if it didn't hit anything, it would have continued straight, and it had less exaggerated of a curve. So let's throw one more, for example, down straight. These roll nice and straight. However, that is probably the most basic grenade of all the choices, and that's where M67s come in to effect. So M67s, because of their round shape, they roll the furthest, and that is also something that you can use to your advantage. For example, if someone is literally like 100 meters down a hallway on labs or something, or 80 or whatever, then you can actually roll this down the entire hallway. There's a 5-second explosion delay, but it's actually the most lethal grenade. So it has the most killing potential if someone is in the radius. But for example, let's see how far I can get this to roll. So it only stopped rolling because it hit something. Let's see if we can make it not hit something. So that's a far grenade throw, guys. Just rolling on the ground. Let's roll. Let's run this one for comparison of the distance that it can go. About twice the distance, relatively. Maybe a quarter more. So that's where the benefit of this one comes into effect. F1s roll to the left. The round ones, RGDs or whatever, roll straight. And these ones roll the furthest. And they're the smoothest. So, you know, it goes really far, man. It goes really far, especially if I put more oomph into it. Now, besides the differences in how they roll, the fuse times are important to consider. Because at 5 seconds, it may be a downside in sometimes, and it may be an advantage at sometimes, as well as the shorter fuse times. So, a couple things that I like to do with grenades are underhand throws and overhand throws. If you right-click, then it goes underhand, and you can lob it short distances. And if you left click, then it goes overhand. Now, why is this relevant to fuse timings? Well, there's a couple things that I like to do with grenades that you can't do with the shorter fuse ones. The shorter fuse ones I think of as offensive grenades, and the longer fuse ones I think of as defensive grenades. Defensive grenades meaning that they enable you to do some sort of maneuver while they hold pressure on your enemy with the explosion or cause them to reflank or hold position. And offensive as in you're using that grenade to kill somebody. Now, let's say, for example, that I'm pinned down here and there's a guy fighting me close range right over the other side of this thing. So there's a couple ways to go about it, but it depends on what kind of grenade you have. If you have a short fuse grenade, then you can do an underhand throw and you look directly to the sky, or maybe a little bit down so it goes over, and it'll come down and it'll airburst and kill them instantly. This would have been right on his head and the shrapnel would have killed him. But because the short fuse time, you're not going to really have time to do anything or maneuver. And even if you do, then you're probably going to get hit with the grenade. But instead of that, if you do the same thing with one of these, halfway fuse time, you throw it straight up over, then what you can do is you can reposition and use the grenade blast to your advantage. And because of the long fuse time, now you're at a completely different angle, but he had no audio on you the whole time that you were moving because he had to deal with the explosion. And that's what I mean by defensive grenades. Now, an even bigger advantage to using grenades like this would be some guys there pressuring you, so you underhand it, and you go there, and then you can actually come for the peek and then get back into cover before it explodes. Oh god. Unless it comes back on top of you.
There's people here.
Just fucking die already!
Alrighty, so don't mind the gear change, nothing bad happened. But anyways, as we were talking about, so if you have a grenade with a longer fuse time, you can use it to provoke people into making mistakes. Oh my god, where did that go? Oh, run! Not again! Okay, it's up there. Be careful, because if you have really high strength, they like to fly, like, incredibly far. I usually look straight up when I throw these, and it seems to be a good idea. Where's that gonna go? Oh my god, guys, I'm too strong. I'm too strong. Elite strength is a downer sometimes. Let's go over here. Alright, here we are. So, if you were to throw it over this thing, and there's a guy over here, you could come over here with the gun, shoot him, and run back as he's dealing with the grenade explosion. And basically, people usually panic when they hear a grenade coming their way. And, yeah, but that's an interesting and very advanced way to use it. The way that I prefer to use it is just by looking straight up and throwing it. And then, that comes down. right on top of them. And I use this a lot, for example, like old gas station on customs to grenade people over the wall and such. But enough about that. So an important thing to think about with the new wipe is the use of flashbangs. I've been taking one flashbang and one lethal grenade in every raid because the same kind of thing applies with the flashbangs, except that the new flashbangs are really good. So for example, if someone was holding an angle from like over there and they had us pinned right here, what you can do is you can throw it up with an underhand and then let it pop, and then because they were staring at you from here, they basically were scoped right into the grenade and they're gonna get blinded. And it's been working quite often this wipe. But another thing you can do is bait them out with some audio or some footsteps to get them to look at you, peek them, and then toss a grenade at them, but quicker. Usually I have it in my hand already, and then go for the kill. But it works best with these grenades because they have half of, or 0.5 seconds more or less, and it seems like way faster than these ones, but these ones explode so fast it's pretty much impossible if you're looking in that direction to evade it, while the other ones, they give your enemy a little bit of warning to look away. But once again, that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because this one, you know, you may mess up a throw or something, or it may not blind him, but then you're coming out and you're going to be committed to the push. But on this one, you can throw it, and then there's a delay period, so you can peek them, and you can see if they're basically turning away. But right here, if they're turning away, then you can kill them and push them. I would not recommend looking at the flashbang as you throw it, because that can happen. But if you throw it far away enough, it's going to be worse for you than it is for them. But you can do this 1, 2, and look down and push and move to another point of cover. And if they manage to turn away and evade the flashbang, they're obviously going to be facing away from you. So this can give you room to breathe when you're pinned down without having to waste all your utility like a grenade. A lethal grenade is more useful if they're holding a position, and I found the flashbangs to be more useful to give me some defensive freedom when I'm in a bad situation. Another good way to use it is hearing people rush and flash them like around corners like this. But if you see someone back there and they're holding an angle, you just engage someone and they're behind those boxes over there, you can throw this, and then because it explodes so fast, I use it basically when I'm going to commit to a push to try to give myself a little bit of an advantage by possibly blinding them. Now, the fact that they're behind cover here means they probably weren't flashed by it, but you never know what way a person's facing, and the chances of them being blinded by it are pretty high if they weren't expecting it. Now, there used to be a thing that you could do where you could unpin the grenade and you could sprint with it and insta throw it after your sprint because it was already pulled. But that's no longer a factor in the game, so they seem to have fixed that. So you always want to make sure that you're in cover before you prep a grenade, because this period where you pull the pin is loud and obvious and people are going to push you, and they have pushed me during this, so you got to be ready for that. But let's say that we get in an engagement right here and they start shooting at us and we get fucked up. So I would run over here, and as you're running, pull the pin. And if you hear them chasing you, then you can pull the pin and cover and then come out with an ambush. And something like carrying an impact grenade on you for that purpose, or really any grenade, even a flashbang would work there, even a normal grenade would work there, is a way to reset the pace of the battle and give yourself some breathing space, make them think twice about pushing you, or just straight up get a kill if it's an impact. Now, smoke grenades too. These brand new smoke grenades they added are infinitely useful, especially on a map like Factory, because it deploys pretty quickly compared to the old ones, and the smoke is pretty thick. And what you can use it, Ace's Gaming, I think on YouTube, did a nice video about the grenades, showing the uses that they have. But one example that he showed that I agreed with is using the smoke grenades to cut off an angle while you deal with the other angles. So it deploys pretty quick. Say you spawned here, you come out here, you underhand one over the forklift, and it blocks off that alley, or at least gives you enough time to move. And then you use that to block off an entire angle while you deal with one angle. And then that way you'll have forewarning of audio. You can use your positioning a little better, because now they're not going to be able to really see through the smoke, and you can deal with one side and control the other. But that's really effective in corridors or anything, and you could also use it as like a goblin gas escape mechanism if you so choose, if you need to run away by blocking a line of sight and stuff like that. Pretty obvious stuff that's pretty situational. Now, besides, you know, the trick of looking straight up, you can bounce stuff off to try to get it over cover, which is pretty dangerous. But as you can see, it was effective if you don't think you can underhand stuff. I think it landed somewhere down here. And beyond that, how to throw them. Alright, so how to precisely throw grenades. So while you're learning and stuff, you want basically a laser, I guess, to help you. Otherwise, you can aim in with a gun. And then you want to see where you're aiming. Wherever you're aiming or wherever the laser is where the grenade's going to go. So, for example, if I need to get a grenade through a tight space, like a doorway, from a far away angle, and I need to bounce it off the door and I can't mess it up, then I'm going to aim with the laser. I'm going to hold that aim point there. I'm going to throw, aim up a little bit because it arcs, and you'll see it went exactly where the laser is. So, that's a good way to aim. And like I said, if you don't have a laser, then you can aim in, and all you need to do is compensate for the drop. So obviously this grenade's pretty heavy, so I'm going to go up maybe about an inch. And you see it lobs in exactly where my aim point was. And that's a quick tip to get spicy grenade kills at incredibly difficult angles. Let's try to get an angle that's incredibly hard. So if I need to throw one right there, then keep the aim point there. Maybe a little bit of lean for this one. A little bit up. And boom. It goes in. So that's a really easy way to always aim your grenades, guys. Just aim in right before. Switch to the grenade, visualize that aim point. You could even move around a bit. Now it's going to be top left corner, and boom, it's in. So yeah, that's basically everything about grenades, guys. Try to make sure to pay attention to what kind of fuse timings you have on you, and you can utilize. Here's a better example of the 5-second one. So we go, aim point, top of the wall. I mess up a little bit. It's about to explode. I had some time. I should have rushed in. It's those grenades are so dangerous it can be sketchy to push in. But to show the example better, especially from a closer range. So while he's dealing with the grenade, he's going to be vulnerable and moving around. So you could come in, theoretically, head tap him or weaken him, distract him, and then the grenade gets him while you move back to cover all before it explodes. This one, it doesn't work so well. Like I said, because a 3.5-second time is just not enough. And I wouldn't recommend it with anything but the 5-second timers. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That's all about the grenades. Good luck on your raids.